After the debacle that was season 8 of Game of Thrones, I'll be really honest, I was not excited about the House of the Dragons. The showrunners had proved that without George R.R. Martin's guidance and his actual content, these guys just totally lost the plot and turned what could have been a very measured character development arc into a jarring ending that everyone hated. Honestly, I can do a whole rant on Game of Thrones, but that's not the topic of this video, so let's just move on. The first episode of the House of the Dragons came out today, and this video covers a quick 1 minute summary of the episode, a 1 minute review, all the symbolism in the episode, along with the predicted character arcs. So keep watching. If you love storytelling and content analysis, do subscribe to Silver Mantle and hit that like button because YouTube really likes it. In a tale as old as 2011, the Iron Throne needs a new butt to sit on it because the King Viserys, is not as Valyrian steel-proof enough as he should be. His brother Daemon Targaryen is eyeing the throne harder than he's eyeing Rhaenyra, the princess. And incidentally, he's also the inventor of the gold cloaks, which is a nice detail to add. Rhaenyra's mother is pregnant with a child we already know won't survive, but somebody forgot to send a memo to King Viserys, who is busy throwing a party in anticipation of his new heir. Daemon loses a jousting match to a Dornish nobleman. All of this is happening while the queen is in labor, the kid is stuck in breech, so the king kills the queen to get the baby out, but in an ultimate baller move that screams "screw you dad," the baby dies. Daemon Targaryen throws a party in his own honor, the king gets pissed off and banishes him to the Vale, and in a move that surprises literally no one, he names Princess Rhaenyra his heir. Though this series is inspired by George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood, the truth is that it has no fire, just a lot of blood. If the purpose of a pilot is to get you excited about a show's concept and the upcoming season, this pilot totally failed because it just did not have that oomph factor. You know, sometimes you watch an episode and you say, wow, what an episode. That really did not happen here. All of the character journeys shown in the pilot were fairly predictable, but I will concede that the pilot did a good job of setting up the context and the characters. It did not have that emotional connect that Game of Thrones pilot had, and it does come across as a dull watch. So when you're watching it, do keep that in mind. Alright, let's get into the meat of things. Let's start with Viserys' prophecy. Around the beginning of the episode, Viserys tells his wife that he's really sure that he's gonna have a son, and that's because he's had a dream. In this dream, he saw a baby wearing Aegon's iron crown. He sees a lot of horse hooves, splintering swords, splintering shields, the sept of Baelon's bells are ringing, and all the dragons are roaring as one. So he's really sure that he's gonna have an heir. Now, like the Targaryens, all their dreams have a touch of magic in them, and throughout the course of Game of Thrones and clearly this show, they are impacting all the events that take place. But what these characters don't realize is that their dreams often have double meanings, and that is the case with this dream as well. Do we think that this dream came true? The answer is yes and no. I mean, if we look at it in a very practical sense, yes, that baby is born and the scene is juxtaposed with the tourney. So, you know, you have all those hooves, you have the splintering shields, you have the swords, all of that is happening. The baby is born, it's a male, it's clearly a male heir, but I feel it's actually talking about the future. Like, it's not in a literal sense. What it's trying to say is that a ruler will be born out of circumstances. All of these noises that they're talking about, the horse hooves, the splintering shields, the clash of the swords, all of this I feel points towards war, which is going to happen for the throne, clearly, as we see by the end of the episode. I also feel like this whole thing of the sept bells tolling, that can be like a coronation, and the dragons roaring as one, that hasn't happened yet because the dragons are clearly not united. So that's what makes me think that this prophecy is about the future, it's not about this baby that died. Blood on the throne. So when Viserys tells his brother Daemon to leave for the Vale, he kind of cuts himself a little on the Iron Throne, galti se. And I really like the symbolism of this. Obviously, there's a literal connotation to this, like it's made of swords, so you are going to cut yourself. It's not an easy thing to sit on. But I like the symbolism of it also. Okay, what the king was doing in that moment was painful. It actually hurt him to send his brother away because he always stood up for his brother in all the council meetings. And now he had to like come to terms with the fact that his brother may not be as great a guy as, you know, he thinks he is. So that was a really nice touch. Aegon's prophecy. Okay, so I kinda hated this one. When King Viserys was telling his daughter about this great Targaryen secret that Aegon didn't just see the destruction of Valyria, he also saw the destruction of mankind. And unless there's a Targaryen on the throne, mankind is doomed. So he's talking about this long winter that's going to come. And we know from Game of Thrones that before Bran Stark was born, there was this long winter in which generations and generations of people like were born and died and they didn't know anything but the cold. But then Viserys calls this theory, this prophecy, the Song of Ice and Fire, and that's where I got pissed off, because then that clearly means that he's referring to Game of Thrones. And in its literal sense, the Song of Ice and Fire is the product of a love story between Rhaenyra Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, Fire and Ice, which is Jon Snow, who is the rightful heir to the throne. But at the end of Game of Thrones, there is no Targaryen on the throne. So what is Viserys talking about? Is it a misread prophecy? Is it a future after Game of Thrones that we don't really know about? But that also doesn't make sense, because where is this mystical winter coming from then, you know? So this part I felt was more of a fan service thing rather than an actual prophecy. I think if they had not named it Song of Ice and Fire, it probably would have talked about the winter before Bran. But naming it that, it just feels like, you know, oh, it's like a wink to all the people who are watching it. Ki, oh, you like Game of Thrones, right? That's how it felt. Okay, so now let's get into all the suspected character arcs. Let's start with Daemon Targaryen. I feel that his journey is likely to mirror the tourney that we saw. He's going to enjoy some sort of a false victory. He's going to gloat too soon, and then he's going to have to yield or will be killed in battle. He's been positioned as the obvious antagonist, and there is a lot of heavy symbolism during the tourney scene with Daemon riding in literally on a dark horse, on a color that signifies that he's not seen as a strong contender for the throne. And also there's also the good versus evil thing, because his horse is black and Ser Criston's horse is white, so that's like some very obvious heavy symbolism going on there as well. But I really hope that there's more to this character. He's not just, you know, someone who melts out punishments and is quote unquote evil, because otherwise all the character arcs will become very, very predictable. So I hope it's a more layered character than what we got to see in the pilot. I'm really looking forward to see how he develops. Oh, I forgot to add that Daemon at this point does not have any allies, so I'm anticipating some ties with foreign alliances. There is some turmoil in the free cities. There's shipping issue that was talked about earlier in the episode, and somebody is going off killing pirates. So I think that person might align with Daemon, but we still need to see what happens. Princess Rhaenyra. Okay, so like Daenerys, Rhaenyra is a fairly naive character who's been thrust into the Game of Thrones unwillingly. I'm really excited to see how her relationship with Rhaenys is going to develop further, because see, one of two things can happen. Either Rhaenys can be like, इसमें मुझे मेरी परछाई दिखती है, and she can like help Rhaenyra ascend the throne, or she'll be like, why is she getting the chance and I'm not getting the chance, and she ends up fighting with Rhaenyra for the throne. So that will be interesting to see. I think her fate was sealed the minute Daemon put that necklace on her, because she took off that common gold necklace and was wearing Valyrian steel, and it showed that she had chosen the path of nobility over the path of, you know, living in the free cities with Alicent. Alicent seems damn shady, by the way. But yeah, that's what she's chosen and that's what it feels like. So let's see how she develops further. King Viserys. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are already thinking this, but he's going to die of that horrible festering wound that is there on his back. Or he's going to die of a horrible festering wound that's there in his heart because he killed his wife. So not a lot of twists and turns over here. I am anticipating some creepy behavior between him and Alicent, because like I said earlier, Alicent seems really shady. But I also think that Alicent likes Daemon. So this will be interesting to see how this develops as well. Otto Hightower. I think Otto Hightower will be very similar to Littlefinger. He will be manipulating events from behind the scenes, and he's the guy to watch out for based on this pilot, obviously. He will definitely be burrowing Rhaenyra's Khan, you know, he'll be influencing her throughout her journey. And I think Sir Westerling will also influence her, but he will be more like a father figure to her. So these are my predictions so far. What did you think of them? If you liked this content, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Tell me in the comments whether you thought the pilot was underwhelming or whether it lived up to your expectations. See you next time.